Alrighty, call the meeting to order for the Board of County Commissioners, August 4th at 1500. Can I get a roll call?
Commissioner North.
Here. 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 If you'd stand and say the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Garrett? I try to. The green button. There you go.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me in. Little maintenance update lately. Month of July was pretty busy. And 90% of those were HVAC issues, whether it came from the jail or the courthouse chiller and a compressor module. That set us back just a few days, but we're able to manually run that one on and off and clear that trip whenever it would happen, but kept it running through that. A lot of it at the jail was we lost 2 compressors at JDC, got those swapped out and had a few leaks in some units. You know, we're talking there's 40 some units up there, so you're always going to have to keep them going, but just kept working at it. As far as we had a couple little leaks in some rusted cast over at the Hall of Justice again. One was from a floor drain and one was from a roof drain. The floor drain was from a penthouse boilers. It didn't show up until first floor, which is good, but we redirected those lines to another chase on third and alleviated that issue that way. And the other one showed up on second floor from the roof drain, and it's just a 4-inch 90 elbow that will be addressed this week. It just showed up last week. So it's there. And yeah, other than that, we've just been keeping busy, same old things. Nothing really major going on, happening. We're still fighting a roof leak over at the Townsend that we've been fighting for quite a while. I did pull some strings and have the CPD run their infrared drone over the building because we believe that the water's running under the membrane to the floor drain, and then that's where it's leaking between the lid. But I have not had those images back and been able to download them yet, but as soon as I will, that'll really help us pinpoint that issue. And a lot of it too is where some of those air handlers are sweating out and draining onto the membrane, and then it kind of, there's 2 air handlers that we could be the culprit, but they're 40 to 60 feet away from that drain. Still can't find where that's coming up under the membrane, but we're not giving up. We'll find it. So, yeah. Not.
Have you tried using dye up there?
No, we have not. Just because, I mean, we'd have to put that dye into the air handler and then run it out through there. I mean, if we did, we'd have to dump a whole lot of dye on that membrane in a 100-foot span between air handlers, and it'd be super hit or miss. Okay. But it could be an option for sure.
Yeah. Be interesting to see what you get for results.
On the infrared, yeah, I'm excited. We did use them before we re-roofed the jail, and that's what helped us a lot, finding where that main hole was in that membrane, and it worked really well when we flew the drone I think 2 years ago. So I think we'll have good success with that again.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, Garrett, 2 questions. The first, I don't know if you're even in the loop on this, and maybe some of the other commissioners might be, or Tracy or or Sabrina even, but where do things stand with respect to the crosswalk over to our gravel parking lot?
The last I was in contact with the city engineers, they were running a memo through the city council, and I had not heard back. What I did learn is due to the distance between the Center Street crosswalk that's already there, and then the B Street at Marketplace that we were trying to use would be too short of a distance to have three of them there stacked in a 2 block distance. So they wanted to put it at the northwest corner of the Hall of Justice and have our employees cross down there.
Is there anything we can do to push back on that? I mean, I know the city wants to have its traffic flow, but if this is a high traffic, high pedestrian traffic, government centered area.
I'm not sure how much I could push, but I can dang sure try and push on that a little. I guess I don't know. Maybe Ashley could help with me on that, on how many,
Yeah, and I
Commissioner
don't know if it's
Nicolay,
your job to push, so
or ask.
status
Yeah.
update's one thing, but
we did bring that up and try to make that very clear that the problem is that right there at Market Street and getting our employees to walk down to David Street and go across and come back up is problematic all by itself. And I did not receive a very warm reception of that. So,
Commissioner, where do things stand? Are they still reviewing it internally over there?
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because we did discuss that at the last Hall of Justice board meeting.
Who over there is the most up to speed on it? Is it their city manager?
It's going through the engineers and the city manager.
Talk to them.
Yeah,
but-
and the
okay.
city manager, but other than that, yeah.
The second question is, if you had a magic wand over maintenance and
Mhm.
repairs, what areas, maybe whether it's your personnel or, I don't think it's inventory materials, but where do you think you most like to be more robust? Whether it's on all this HVAC work, are there any areas where you're feeling a little bit, you're not as robust as you'd like to be?
Yeah, I think maybe the possibilities of being able to control the HVAC systems better would be nice. We're still running, our software is newer, right? But we're still running old pneumatic equipment that's not easily adjustable. So we have windows in offices that are, or I'm sorry, not windows, but temperature windows in offices that vary immensely, right? So everything's on a schedule, shuts down at night. Pulls in outside air. Well, when the outside air temps are still 80 degrees, it heats up. Well, then the chillers and everything are fighting for that energy efficiency to drop everything right back down at from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the morning before people get here. And I think that energy efficiency part in some of these older buildings we would really benefit from that, and being able to control those systems better. No, that means just better controls on some of the. I did swap out one that does the north side of this building on the second floor. It's 2 electronic valves and everything like that, and it's a lot easier to damper and control what it brings in. An electronic valve is going to shut a heck of a lot tighter than a pneumatic, and be able to just really fluctuate how much cooling water is running through the system or heating water in the winter or things like that. Yes. Yep. In a small amount, not in a robust, get it all done at once. Yep.
Any other questions?
Garrett, what kind of work are you guys going to be doing on the library this year?
Yeah, that's a So we plan on redoing the parking lot. Parking lot's gonna get resealed, cracks filled, things like that. The lighting in the front room, or the atrium on the street side, is gonna be upgraded to LED. We also have plans to replace the, shop heater in the garage where they park the bus. That's one. And there's another pretty good one in there. The ladder and hatch for the roof access is going to be replaced from that old 18-inch wide ladder to a nice aluminum gripped 30-inch ladder.
And these are all items that you budgeted, correct?
They are, yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
I believe might be another one.
No, I think that's perfect. There's a lot of improvements going into the library that are good for people to understand, and I appreciate you keeping up on that. So
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Perfect. Thanks, sir. I
Thank
think
you.
we got questions for Mike, so it works.
Yeah, he's more important.
Hold on. Afternoon, Mike.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Good.
What's on fire? Dallas is
Tires.
really wanting to know.
Tires,
That's what it looked like.
bad. They're on Ron McMurray's land out there and somebody set them on fire, they think. Saw a car leaving. They can't get it out.
Yeah, it looked pretty
Want to know if I
significant.
could put equipment on it. I said, no, too hot. So I don't know what they're gonna do yet.
Okay.
Don't have a water source. So gonna be burning a while. Okay. Saw a car leaving. It's way back in there. There's nobody supposed to be in there. There's signs up everywhere, so. Yeah, they're looking for a silver SUV. All right. I don't have anything more to report on the Buffalo Creek. We're still working on that. It's probably not gonna materialize till next year. Time we get the DEQ stuff, it's too late now to do much. Herbst gravel pit bids Thursday. We'll see what the pricing is on it, whether we can award it or not. Optimistic, I'm hoping we can award it, get started on that. Don't have anything on Gray Reef. We did have a meeting online. Things are on track. Don't have any more on that. So I see from my budgets, we're pulling the tribal consistency monies for the shop. Is that gonna be retained or is it going somewhere else or? Cause I had money matching that I need to maybe do something else with.
I don't think we were completely sure where we were going with it, but, so it'd just be retained right now and forward once we got a plan, or once we hear from you, maybe some suggestions and whatnot as well.
Well, I was working on an RFP. So, but at the last meeting, I told you I was gonna stop on that because I heard this was happening. And so, my funding, I can use it elsewhere. It's road fund monies. I obviously have to have a line item, but, the money's there to go ahead and do something else. If we aren't gonna move ahead with that. I don't know what Tracy feels about her building, but it's not the greatest building for her stuff. The roof's a mess and so. Issues there could start leaking.
So,
Okay.
we should have something for you soon.
Okay, very good. Squaw Creek project's still moving along. We changed some grades out there from the original plans because we hit all the gas lines and, it was like 500 some thousand to move gas lines at the nth hour. That's not gonna happen. So they're hoping to get that project paved in September. They could pave here pretty quick as soon as they get the base, but they can't get the mix. So Badwater Bridge, I don't have any more on it. They're still doing the engineering. Same thing with the Gray Reef Road Bridge, engineering. And we're still working on the road acquisitions. Moving right along with that. And East Salt Creek, I did get a report from Worthington, that preliminary. There's like 3 options they've got. One of them is to put 4 10-foot culverts in there, which would handle the 100-year flood up to the 100-year flood. If it goes beyond that, I'm saying that wrong. At the 100-year flood, we'd have 1.5 feet of water coming over those culverts. That's $922,000, give some change. Option B is to put the precast in like we did on Strawhecker, which would never wash out. They'd be 10-foot box culverts made out of concrete. And the overtopping there is a little bit less, 1.25 feet of water. But those would never wash out. And of course, the cheap option is 5 36-inch culverts, which would definitely wash out with 11 foot of water over them. So that's something to think about. We need to move ahead with it. I would recommend option B, the precast, which I didn't give you the number on that. So it's about another 800,000 more than the culverts, but they aren't going to wash out. Maybe getting called on that fire. So, no.
How much were the culverts again?
Pardon?
The culverts, the big culverts, not the little culverts.
The bigger, the 10-foot corrugated pipe is 922,000 estimated. That's also counting tearing the bridge out and doing some road work. All 3 of these have that in them. But you know, when you look at the cost of putting them in at almost $1 million, and then they wash out, you're gonna be right back there at $1 million, and you know we'd have to initiate the agreement for the bypass, and because all that gets tore out when we walk away from it. That's where the concrete, you know, it's not going to go anywhere. It may wash over it, but it isn't going anywhere. It would be real easy to open it back up. It's not like you have 1,000 people living back in there, but it is a bridge. Same thing with Natrona. We could probably use this model up there.
Any questions for Mike?
Other than that, we're doing general maintenance, working on some culverts.
Mike, have we got a 100-year event would produce out there in Natrona as far as the volume that we
Well,
need?
I've got the study we did on Strawhecker, which is the same drainage. It just spreads out more, and
It's just,
but we got to neck it back down to get it through there at Natrona. But it'd probably take. I'm anticipating it'd probably be 2 10-foot sections in there, and make them wider so it's a 2-lane road instead of the 1 lane. But yeah, I would recommend that we go look at that. We've already done some of the engineering basically upstream with WLC.
well, the nice thing about those precasts is you don't have to worry about them.
No, they aren't going anywhere.
No, they're not.
They may plug up, but they aren't going anywhere. And in these drainage we're talking about, there's really nothing to plug them. It's not like you got pine trees and stuff coming down.
Dallas?
Don't forget my list,
Which list?
the dirt roads.
Send them to you in an email.
Sure you did.
I did.
Did you send them to me on my regular phone or on the county phone?
I sent them to your county email.
Okay, thank you. I'll go find, I'll
I
go
can
find it.
resend it. Yeah, I did
Thank
that a month ago.
Huh?
I did that a month ago.
Well, yeah. My phone hasn't worked for 2 months, so
Oh,
maybe I'll get a new one if I get reelected, who knows?
start putting them in the mail.
That'd be okay.
You gotta buy the stamp though,
Yeah, yeah.
because my budget got cut so bad.
I'll pay for the stamp.
All right.
The library for notary.
Huh? Don't? Or do? I can send them again, Dallas, if you didn't get them.
I knew it was some hang up like that.
In the mail. It really did go email though. It said it sent it.
Peter? You getting buzzed yet?
No, I've gotten many of them. Let's see. All people just call and see what's burning.
Any other questions? I'd like to, we'll probably we'll talk about the tribal and the building and whatnot, exact, and then talk about the options for Badwater too.
Okay.
Get back with you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mike.
You mean Natrona?
Or wherever,
Okay.
somewhere in the county.
Chairman?
Yes.
Can we have Mike just refresh our recollection on what uses he might have made out of a building located at where he's currently at, just so we can understand maybe some square footage and some other
Requirements.
if there are any offices or shop space. What were you kind of envisioning would be some of Road and Bridge's uses of that building over the next, say, 5 years?
Oh, the one we were gonna build?
Yeah.
It was gonna have, 3 stalls for heavy equipment to go in, the graders that come in the winter. We have nowhere to defrost them or anything. They sit outside. A lot of our equipment sits outside, expensive equipment. And then the other end of it was gonna be the voting machine, 1 stall.
Leaving the clerk out of this for just a
Oh.
second. Those 3 stalls, 20 by 50, what,
They're 20 by 60, I think.
20 by 60, what overhead? Well,
14-foot
14.
doors. Yeah, you gotta have that. Come in with a wing.
temperature control, gotta have.
Yeah, it would have like the Corivac radiant heat, pretty efficient heat system. What didn't have a lot of frilly stuff. Did have a bathroom on the one end for the voting machine stuff. Other than that, we didn't have any major plumbing in it, enough to wash it out. But it was 4 stalls. Her stall was bigger, wider.
4 stalls, okay. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
See that?
Mike, how big is the old fire department?
How what?
How big is what are the dimensions on the old building over there?
Well, it's got 4 bays in it, which was the old fire department,
Right.
obviously, with the overhead doors. I don't think they're all 14 foot high, but, it's split up. The center of it was, their living quarters, and that's part of what the sheriff has.
Right.
Which, that can all come out of there, but, basically, we had plows and different equipment in there
Right.
until that all transpired, and then we just have 2 stalls in there. And then the one end of it's our meeting room, for the crews, which was remodeled. And that end of the roof has been redone, but the rest of it hasn't been,
Yeah.
so. But I mean, it's okay for what's in there.
Okay. I know there were did the electrical issues get resolved in there?
Well,
Garrett's shaking his head. Yes.
yes,
So,
Yes. Well, there's
That's,
a lot of
that's the
stuff,
one sign language I can read.
there's a lot of stuff
Yes
plugged
and
in.
no.
We don't plug in there anymore with our graders because all the sheriff's stuff's plugged in
Right,
and it just blows everything.
right.
So, but winter-wise, we moved to another building that if you plug too many in, it blows everything. So
Okay.
this new building would solve some of that.
Any more for Mike? Anything?
Yep.
Good, I think.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Well, play with fire. Toast some marshmallows. Over that nice black smoke. Oh, maybe we want Mike back. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Mm.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Updates for the development departments or the planning side of things, planning and code enforcement. Code enforcement met with Cindy over at the landfill and discussed possible options for cleanups. So we talked about doing the passes and what that would look like if they could give us a discount on it, and what we could do as far as doing the actual cleanups with the dumpsters. There were some options that she threw out. She was checking with a couple of local companies, and we were going to check with some as well, as far as if they would maybe sponsor them, give us a discount on it. So we're doing our research on that end of it to see if we can get something going with it. We are both in the process of doing that, so that's kind of where that's at. Not much else to really update. Projects we have our Dyna Solar. We're meeting with them this week. Just phone call. They've been keeping on track. So far, what they've told us for the extension request for their current project, still looking to be on track for October P&Z, and then November to come to you guys. Just an extension request on the project they already have going on. We think that's on schedule, but they're keeping in touch with us just to make sure. And then we do have a meeting set with Prometheus later this week as well. They reached out and requested a meeting, so we'll see what they've got going on. And I'll give it to Brad.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. So the bigger projects that are going on around the county, nothing's really changed with Mesa. They're still working on finishing that up. We still haven't issued a full CO yet. That should be coming pretty soon. I think they're projected to start operations over there probably by the end of this month. So we'll probably be back over there soon. Other than that, not much change. Loves is coming along real fast. They had a little hiccup with the Rocky Mountain Power contract on where their service is located. We met with them over there to go over that. I think they have that figured out. So they're projected to be opening up mid-October, I believe. But they are moving very fast. As far as plan review, we're still dealing with the air traffic control tower, the Spees Fish Hatchery. There's another commercial building planned for West Yellowstone for power equipment there by the bypass. I think I gave them permission to get started on the foundation, so there's probably work getting started over there. The wind farm decommissioning, I haven't heard anything from them. Last I heard from them was in June, and they said they were going to get started in July. I haven't seen any activity out there at all.
There was an email here just recently that came out from them.
Was there?
I did hear from a contractor that they're actually gonna transport a lot of that stuff out of state.
Oh, okay.
So, a lot of it's going to Texas. So,
I guess that's okay. And as far as our revenue, we pulled in 1.1 for the fiscal year. June was 233,000. So pretty good year. Any questions?
Any real questions? Thank you. You're not done though. No.
Thank you. Are you done with Brad?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anna, did you want to come up here?
You've been summoned.
Afternoon.
I'm just here in support of.
I think you got some good information too, maybe, so. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I sent you an email and a memo maybe a week or two ago asking about sustainable strategies. This is a company we've been with as a community since around 2019 and have received a lot of grant funding and information and guidance from them. They are a company that's headquartered in DC. The representative that we have was originally from Denver. She actually did move back to Denver, so she's our representative in Denver, and so she's really close, but also very well connected to DC and the whole company and the everything that goes on federally. So they are able to provide us with a lot of different grant funding avenues. Some of the things that we've had help with in the past and would like to have help with in the future, particularly are like energy efficiency upgrades that Garrett talked about for this building. If we can get a 50-50 match, that doubles our money. A lot of grants are 80-20 match where we pay 20%, the grant pays 80%. It all depends on the grant, it depends on the funding source, depends on the program. There's a lot of factors into that, but they are very well connected to all those federal programs, which really help us to be able to go after that money. We don't necessarily have to have a project in place, a strategy in place. They will look at stuff based on what do you guys have going on. You know, if we have road and bridge stuff, if we have maintenance stuff, if we have park stuff, if we have health department stuff, those are avenues that we can look to them. And for $13,000 a year, we can get millions in grant funding that's otherwise very difficult to go after because of all the avenues they have. And Anna was
Take a
been a
breath.
recipient. Anna has been a recipient of funding.
Do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Yes, we were able to successfully access funding through sustainable strategies. When we were pursuing funding from the federal earmark, it initially was lying with the county attorney's office. That person left, and then we had to do a lot of tracking down to figure out how to get access because it locks you out very quickly. And then when the next county attorney left, it locked us out once again. They were able to connect me to the right people and the right people that had enough power to make the exception to get us into those funds. We are just now closing out all of the funding that we have received. They help you write the grant proposal, they get the information, but what's really helpful is they send that report out once monthly that shows all the different things that are going on. So it's like a collaborative opportunity that we could work with the city or different things like that. Sabrina and I have gone to the funding summit for 4 years, 4 years now totally. And the amount of money that we're watching walk to other places or that we're leaving on the table is very sad because I think it could make a difference for the county in some of the areas. And I know grant writing takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, and also on the back end and the payments and all those kinds of things. But I think this would really significantly help the different projects that we have going on in the county.
Questions? Go ahead.
Am I the only one that remembers the problems we were having with sustainable strategies just a couple of years ago that we felt they didn't have either the capacity, we weren't feeling the client principal contact, kind of the direct engagement. And I think in part that's maybe because the commissioners weren't as active on that and didn't really have an appointee for that. I think there was some discussion about their focus has a lot to do with what's going on in Washington D.C. And federal resources or sources, maybe not as much, from a local or state or regional perspective. That we talked about a new hire being maybe someday able to spend some time and energy on those kinds of things, grant writing, and at least maybe overseeing or supervising somebody because of that person's prior experience at a prior job. That we had funded, I think, through the treasurer's office, a position that wasn't filled. The amount came off the treasurer's budget. I just, it's like Groundhog Day for me in some respects. And I mean, no offense to you, Anna, or you, Sabrina, or to say Sustainable Strategies. I just don't know if it's a good fit for Natrona County and our interests. And clearly and rightfully, a lot of people in this room might feel differently about it. I still would love to see at least a half-time employee, maybe they're half-time Natrona County, half-time Converse County, and they can look out for county interests and county grant awards. So I'm not sold on the idea of going back to Sustainable Strategies at this time, but I'm happy to hear more from the commissioners and from you ladies.
So I'm not completely sold on sustainable strategies either. I think when, sustainable strategies partners with, too many people, there's maybe less bandwidth and there's maybe too much competition locally for grants. I think that's just a personal opinion on it. And some of what I've witnessed with sustainable strategies, sometimes there's some low hanging fruit that's plucked. That's a grant opportunity that's there that they'll assist with. And, I don't know that that's always the best, so I'm going along with that is, the commission would need to be really targeted on what kind of grants options that we would go for, not just, hey, there's a host of, any number of grants out there and we can apply for any of these things. I think we have to be really strategic on the front end before we would really partner up and try to, go for any kind of federal dollars or any other dollars. And I guess budgetary wise, we didn't really contemplate it for this year's budget, so I don't think it'd be appropriate, especially since we had, had some deep cuts to kind of get where we're at now. That's where I'm at.
I remember the issues that we had very well. I know Jim does too. And I think the biggest problem that we had before was there were so few of the opportunities that really met the county's needs. I'm not saying that that's always going to be the case, but, I remember sitting in on those conversations and listening on those phone calls and stuff that I thought should be a shoe-in for us. We got pushed aside. That was a little disturbing that, a lot of the grants is like, oh, we can't do that because of this. Those were ones in the past. Now, I'm not saying that this isn't something that we shouldn't look into in the future, but I am a little gun shy right now as far as just from past experience, because there were so many things that were out there that, it's like Casey said, you get too many hands in the pie, and we were always the ones that came out with a very small sliver. Most of the time, it was just a little bit of filling on your fingers, and that really didn't do a whole lot for us for what we were getting out of it. So that's where my resistance is to it, is just from past experience. So I'm not saying that this is something that we can't look at in the future, but I would like to know just exactly how it's going to help us. You know, and I mean, even when I was at Mills, we applied for some grants through sustainable strategies, and it sounded like everything was a go and we were going to get it, and it didn't work out that way. So I guess I'm a little bit gun shy as far as that goes too, from past experience.
Yes.
Yeah, we went through this issue a little bit, but we never came up with a solution. You know, at one time, there's a lady that is a grant writer that was pretty good. In fact, her husband's on the airport board. But, so what would you suggest? How to resolve this issue? Because we do need, we should be applying for grants. The money's out there. We just have to learn how to ask for the money, I guess, huh?
So, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, in addressing hopefully all of your questions and concerns, one of the things I've worked with sustainable strategy since 2019. So in two previous roles, both of those entities were a part of that. And what I noticed with the county the whole time is there wasn't that consistent person who was able to push things along at the county. Commissioner North was on those calls, not all the time, but most of the time. But I just felt like the county was missing out because there wasn't a person there to push those along. In grant awards that I've received in the past, a lot of them weren't necessarily written by sustainable strategies, but they provided the avenues that I otherwise didn't know about. They provided the deadlines I didn't know about. I was able to write the grant and then send it off to Ashley, and she would look at it and be able to not know much of anything about the project, but was a backup for me to be like, oh, I would suggest adding this or adding that. Otherwise, it looks like it's a good application. No, we're not going to get all the grant awards that we apply for. That's not going to happen in any day of the week. No grant writer gets awards all the time. What I would ask for is to try this out for the next year. If it works, that's great. If we get leads that are going to double our money and we can get $20,000, that pays for it. If we get $13,000, it pays for it. But having a person here, such as myself, such as Anna, that we can sit here and do, Garrett would help anybody who's in whatever department that has those expertise on that department and what we need. That's where we can go and say, we need this and this is where we're after. And these are the things that we're after. This works or this doesn't work. And it reaches out to those federal entities, and the money we're leaving on the table as a state are the federal grant dollars. So state grants, we're pretty well versed at, I think. They can help us with state grants, but I think we kind of know what options we have. Those federal dollars are more the ones that just historically as a state we don't go after. And it's because they're more difficult, there's more robust, there's more to it, and people don't have the capacity for it. Towns, entities don't have the capacity for it, but if you can go after them, you can get some funding that you otherwise wouldn't necessarily get.
So, real quick, I appreciate you guys coming here and talking, especially since it wasn't kind of me that prodded you to do it. Dallas's comment is more in tune to where I kind of wanted to go with this. As far as I understand, we had problems with sustainable, and I do link it back to probably oversight on our part as far as how we were dealing with them and how much we were actively participating with those. Dave was on some of the calls. I was on some of the calls. There wasn't really anything like anybody that was specifically directed, other than Rob was really involved in it. But I think this county, especially after this year's looking at the budget, I think this county's leaving money on the table. And this is just, I'd like to see this as a first step maybe to open the discussion to try to figure out how we can get that money off the table, because we may need it in the future. if we don't start down this road, whether it's with sustainable strategies, whether it's with our own internal person, whether it's what, I think this county will be left behind a little bit on that. I think if we start the process now of actually trying to figure out what we want to do in order to get those federal funds and manage them, I think we'd be a lot further ahead. And that's pretty much where I'm coming from. I do have reservations with sustainable strategies myself, but I think it could be managed. I don't know if they're the answer, but I think we need to take a look at that. Starting this process, whether we have a grant writer like Dallas likes, or if we combine a grant writer with another county like Peter's suggesting, or whatever we're doing, I think we need to look at a process for the future, for future boards, if nothing else, so that they may have some additional funds for roads, for cooling units, for whatever we have down the road that we might be able, $1 is $1. Don't leave it on the table, basically. So that's where this is coming from.
Well, my thought too is a grant writer, a good grant writer could supply the county with a lot of money. They definitely earn their salary, with 1 or 2 grants. So it's something I guess we can look into. Maybe we have to wait till after the first of the year. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
So, help me understand better what sustainable strategies is expected to do, and formally, put in their engagement letter. Number one, make us aware of grant funding opportunities, federal only or federal, state, or federally focused, all of it. Communicating deadlines to the various entities, reviewing and revising or making suggestions on grant applications, but not actually doing the applications.
So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Escalation, for the contract, they will write 1 grant for each entity annually. But in my experience, instead of utilizing that, I was able to write it myself so that they will review more than 1. And that's just kind of how we work around it and how we work together to make sure, if they're writing a grant for us, they're doing the whole thing. If it's a big grant, we probably want them to write it. We want their experience. But if it's smaller ones that we can handle in-house, we kind of work together to see how that works.
Right. Then the second question is, who's the we? Because it's not going to be one of us that's monitoring what grant opportunities are available. And Anna, over the years, you've been good at sending, I think, the commission, but I know at least your board and your health department liaison, opportunities where they, even if they're not necessarily strictly health department related, but I would look to one or both of you to take this on, and I don't know if a job modification or there needs to be a compensation or consideration given to the additional duties and responsibilities. But that's the only way it's going to work, because I was on 2 of those calls before, when I first got on this board. And okay, you listen for whatever, 45 minutes, and you may not have anything to say because it may not even pertain to the county. But, I don't think it's going to be us that are going to manage this. So I think we need somebody here at the county to drive it.
Well, another thing to your point, Peter, I think it's not just the front end that we're looking at, it's also the back end, management of the trust or the grant, And so we've got to think of if we approach this, if we do something like this, we've got to have that structure in place where just dumping it on Nick's desk isn't the answer. And so we've got to have something set up somewhere and have this addressed in place before we start going after these as well. It's not just part and parcel. It's the whole thing. We got to set up first, in my mind.
Yeah, the management, and that's a good point, Mr. Chairman. You actually need somebody on the front end and then somebody on the back end, and that's why we sent it over to the treasurer's office, thinking that person would report to the treasurer's office. Now, maybe with the change in the treasurer, you know, maybe there'll be somebody that can be designated to handle that back end.
So my suggestion, Mr. Chairman, is, you heard my 2 words before. County manager, county administrator, that would head this stuff up. Because that's something we've talked about, and I even get a smile out of Peter every now and then when I mention those 2 words. But I think that's something I think we have to look at. Whoever is comprising this new commission, I think that they'll see the need for that county administrator, because these kind of things take a lot of expertise. And you 2 ladies are loaded up, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know whether you've got the time, or I know you're able to do it, but to put that on you, that's another conversation, I guess.
Well, I think it's this, partially it's this conversation. You have the time and capacity, the interest.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I guess that's why we're in front of you now, is because if it's the right grant and the right amount of money, then yes. Because it's right for the county.
Well, you said, you'd look for us to commit to a year and see how it goes. I think the same question is to you.
Mhm.
Commit for a year. You know, be part of that, be a piece of that puzzle. If you're able. You're both really good at your jobs. Like Dallas said, you're both really busy though. Maybe you guys need to think about that a little bit, but
Dave?
Sabrina, where did we find out about the Easton grant?
Visit Casper.
Okay.
And I think for the health department, you can also benefit from Casper or Mills or any of the other entities that are participating partners with the health department in doing something for the health department, I think, through sustainable strategies too, and see if there's any benefit, I think, directly to you right there. I think that's only fitting that these other people that want to tag their name onto the health department should have some skin in the game. So I think maybe we could also explore that too, and that might bolster the, I guess, ability for this next year to see if maybe they can come to the table with something.
Any further comments, questions? Like I said, initially, I wasn't expecting anything other than an open dialogue. I really think the upcoming board members may want to think about this, because it is leaving a lot of money on the table potentially. But it's going to be some work. And if you know, like Peter's saying, if you want to commit for a year, do you have the bandwidth? Have you really thought about this? Because it's setting up the front and the back. The treasurer's office, you're going to have to work with them or somebody that can manage that stuff. There's a lot to this, a lot of moving parts that I'm not going to have part of. Peter's not going to have part of. Dallas wants to have part of, but these 2 are. So, you know, but I really think that the county would benefit if we were able to manage it.
I really appreciate the conversation, actually, and guys even considering it, because I've honestly been frustrated with the county for many years, because I feel like we're leaving a lot of money on the table, and it doesn't benefit the residents when we're doing that. But to have this conversation and really think about it, and for you guys to really just be like, you know, this is the steps we need to do, like, that's huge to me. To even, yeah, we do. I think we need to get to that process, whether that means we hire an actual grant writer to manage all this stuff. Like, just having this conversation, I think it's got to stop going to the wayside. We've got to actually figure this out, because we can benefit off of a lot of things, a lot of programs that are out there that we are not benefiting from right now.
Can you work with the treasurer maybe and start fleshing something out so that you can present it, if not, to the next board?
Mhm.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
When this went on, I contacted a couple of county commissioners from other states. They told me they were getting as much as, $1 million in grants, but you have to have a professional grant writer that's their gig basically. And so I always felt that that's what we should have here. And then if we have to get into a business transaction with the city, where the city could use this professional grants writer as well. But you're right, a lot of money could be had, I believe, if we had somebody who was faithful to us and was looking after us. And so I'm glad you're raising the issue. It's important.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, basically, I do appreciate this conversation as well. It is frustrating as someone who has a fair number of grants that we operate. We have 32 different budgets that we work from. Most of those are grant funded. It does need to have a conversation. It does have to have the beginning and the end, and I think that's been some of my frustration is the end. I think you see that we have the vision of what could be. I also just asked Sabrina, I think we could lay something out of something that would make sense. We both are very committed to funding and different things like that. I have no problem looking at things for other departments because it all benefits us in the long run. So if possible, putting our heads together, kind of looking at things as we progress forward, and then coming back to you and talking to you kind of about some additional build out of what we're thinking. The one thing that is helpful, and I apologize that I don't know this, is looking at, in a year's time, and I know the commission is about to be something that we don't know yet, but are there specific goals or projects or things that are identified at the beginning of the year that you prioritize that these are the really top things? It seems to me that often we come to you with things that are broken or we're in a dire strait or we have to do something about, but being in that more proactive state of these are some of the things that we're going to focus on for this year. So those were my questions, and I appreciate talking about it because it is frustrating to watch money go to other entities that that we're just as deserving. So, thank you.
Any further questions, suggestions, comments? Thank you, ladies. Really appreciate it. All right, Danielle will not be here today. So, Glenn. All right. Thank you for coming down. How you been? It's all you, your show.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, before you, there's a grant request. It's a standard grant we have for projects. The difference in this one is typically to bring you a grant for design and construction. This one's a little bit different because our intention was to design a project this year and use this year and next year's funds for construction. But we have to go through what's called modification and standard process with the FAA, which means the project's going to slip into next year. But because we already have the design done, we're working with the design. The engineers don't want to go into it. It's one thing if you tell them they're not going to get paid for 6 months until we get a construction grant. Paid for a year and a half. It's a little different. So this is the design grant that allows us to get the design done, and then you will see in probably April or May of next year, will be the actual last fitted out, will be the construction and portion of it. So, yeah, any questions on the grant or the project itself?
Peter? Oh, I just saw your hand move. Anybody have any questions? Everybody got a chance to review the documents that were attached to the agenda? Any questions on those or comments?
How much is the grant for?
This grant is for. $353,270.
Thank you.
So the real work that we're doing right now is asphalt over concrete over a base. So what has been happening over a period of time is we're starting to see the shifting of the concrete underneath it, and it's starting to push up into the asphalt. So we get what we call speed bumps, which in essence are, and actually really like that picture.
I'm not sure speed bumps are good for an airport.
That's the street. Yeah, I think there's. So the kind of shows you what the system is of the area. But particularly
For Peter.
this hot weather, which you see. You can see where that panel is from. Not as bad now. Over, but during the winter, if you're starting to glossy look because of 22 foot tall, it's the concrete kind of starting to sit still. So what they will be doing for the project is milling off the asphalt, and it's not a rubblization process, so they don't pulverize the concrete. About every 18 inches, so it's a build. They basically crack it here, go 18 inches over, and basically that compacts it, and then basically asphalt over the top. There are some areas that panels are actually bad, but most of it is just it's something the FAA has done in the past, it's something that they funded, but it's not their standard. So anytime you have to do a good modification of the standard process, you have to get the FAA's blessing, and that's what's taking us longer to project in essence is slipping into next year.
So this will hold the engineers, the designers until we move forward.
I understand that they're going to do the design, and build the project, and the construction, you have to have a multi-year grant. Until the project, you have to construct but because this looked at another year out since the process, that's what you have to hold their probably pay them, which we can certainly help them. But that just means that we're holding that money, we pay that money, it's another
Mr. Chairman, Glenn, I apologize if I didn't hear this correctly. Problem with the concrete, migrating through, creating problems with the asphalt. To fix, you mill the asphalt, but you don't fix the concrete? Or is that the 18 inches each side of the crack that you also fix the concrete?
So the concrete panels are, so you have roughly 4 inches of asphalt over 85 foot concrete. So problem that's happening is one is like, and it's starting to. So the concrete panels are starting to shift. So once you off the asphalt, it's that 18 inches basically acting the panels. That is along the seat. Together, and then it comes to the top. So any more penetration is not going to be in.
Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, Glenn, this is a pretty, discrete area, and I would think that, have you done this before on other areas, and are you gonna have to do it again in other areas into the future?
Commissioner, we hope
How much more of the area though are you looking at potentially in the future?
so. This area that you see. So depending on the prices, and prices are really, right now, 2 years, we're probably looking at another second, third phase of the prices.
So it is projected for using different phases to go through it. And as far as the aircraft and operations and whatnot, you're going to do a section and allow for use over another area, or how's that going to be managed?
In a perfect way, you close everything off. That's the easiest. Right, but that's from the aircraft.
How long do you think those sections will take approximately about? It'll be the full summer type.
Based upon the engineering that we have so far on the next time. So I don't think we have to face it with the frame, separate shafts, still part of the other for the ground post. So I really think.
You don't want to give us a swag? Okay. That's fair.
But we do know
Any other questions or comments? Dallas? Wow. Thank you, sir.
There is one question that people ask me all the time. So I'm gonna ask you, is there a chance of getting another airline in here?
Yes.
Anytime soon? Well, good. Let me know.
you won't be going.
All right.
I will tell you, but if you're not taking anything from the discussion about the character, yeah, but you're right. I would just better pass. Back about 1,000 plus years. So we are seeing more people using United service, getting fuller, we're looking at upgrading the aircraft. So, have we talked with that about another carrier? Additional flights going to different destinations.
thank you. I'm glad I asked the question. The people will like your answer, I think.
Since we were breaking out of those questions,
I've got another one related directly to this.
okay, if it's directly related.
Glenn, I see on here that this has to be accepted on or before August 15th. How long have you known about this? How long have you had it in the works?
Probably not that long, but the time that I submitted the agenda, was about the time that you want, because if I do that, will not be information.
Okay.
It happens like this with the FAA.
And meeting by the 14th, what they mean is that if you didn't, 14th, they would have to resubmit another one, so it's not like you don't have. But it would be, they would have to.
Then we'd have about the same notice again. Side conversation here real quick. I've got a coworker who's down in Artesia, New Mexico. He keeps bragging about the air races that they get, that we don't. Yeah. Do we have anything coming up that, air shows or fly-ins or anything that we're pursuing here?
Hold on, Chairman, I'm sorry. Can we turn on the microphone? They're not picking it up.
Oh.
I just received a text. Sorry.
Sorry, didn't realize I didn't. So what I always tell people if they want to do an air show is we are more than happy to be able to support any efforts that somebody else wants to undertake. Air shows are huge efforts, and that's not something that we have the bandwidth with everything else going on right now.
Right.
I think with the air races, I would never say that the options working with the Reno Air Race Association, that there's not an opportunity if they were ever looking at expanding those or going to a second location. I think we would have a good opportunity for something like that. There are other things like Gillette does a Wheels and Wings, which is, vehicles and airplanes flying in. I think that there's some opportunities. So there are things that can be done short of an air show or that would build into an air show. It's just not anything that we've had with everything else going on, have had the bandwidth to really say, hey, we have nothing else going on, let's pursue an air show.
It's just a personal side question because he keeps raving me about us losing it and them getting it. So.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Any other questions? You got it, Glenn, here. Might as well just ask him whatever you want about the airport.
I think y'all know about the groundbreaking for the control tower next Friday, the 14th. So we're excited about that.
That'll be nice. All right. Well,
Yep.
thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Oh, I don't think so. You can be here if you want, but don't know why. Oh, okay. Uh-huh. Alrighty, moving right along. Are you guys ready? Outstanding. Good afternoon. You need a green button. There you go.
I don't know why I don't remember that every single time. But here we are.
It's your show.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for letting me be here. I have brought the county's two appointed members of our board. So Sean Houck is here with me. And of course, Renee Penton-Joan, who took the back seat, which that's crazy. So I have prepared just a few comments, if that's okay. Okay. Chairman of the board and fellow commissioners, I'm here today to formally request that a 2% lodging tax proposition be listed on the general election ballot in November of 2026. Natrona County voters have been allowed to support or oppose local lodging tax for decades, and since then have consistently supported this initiative. As you know, hospitality and tourism is the second largest industry in Wyoming, and in Natrona County supported 3,000 local jobs in 2025. Visit Casper's work is funded by lodging tax and ensures that we continue to promote hospitality and tourism related businesses and experiences in our county. Additionally, in fiscal year 2026, Visit Casper reinvested over $800,000 back into the community through sponsorships and grants alone. This is a first for us. It's a lot of money. These funds supported youth amateur athletics, meetings, festivals, events, and a multitude of nonprofit organizations throughout Natrona County. Without local lodging tax, the amount of support we could offer would be significantly affected, as would be the individuals, organizations, businesses, and projects throughout the county that we typically support. By placing the proposition on the ballot again, Natrona County residents are given the opportunity to vote their conscience and help determine how we support the community going forward. We truly appreciate this opportunity and look forward to answering any questions you might have. So thank you so much for letting us all be here today.
Any questions? So what do you need? What do you want?
Well, you guys have to determine if we can put this proposition on the ballot. So we're just presenting that request, as we have historically.
Has it ever failed in the general election?
Not here, no. Mm-mm.
And how long has it been on the ballot? For,
My
like,
understanding.
16?
I believe since 1989. Yeah.
And so,
Do we have a resolution in the packet?
I remember seeing.
Do you know, actually? Okay, but it's not.
But it's not in the, okay. When do we need to have that resolution approved or? I know the answer, but in general, how much of the proposed taxes are paid by Natrona County?
I do not know the answer to that. We receive a lodging tax check that is inclusive of all lodging taxes paid. So unfortunately, I'm not able to answer that question.
Unless as a Natrona County citizen going to a hotel in Natrona County, they probably won't pay it, will they?
No. So here's some situations where a Natrona County resident would pay it. Let's say your house floods and you need to stay in a hotel. You are going to receive that on your hotel bill. You're not going to receive a bill in the mail each year saying pay your lodging tax. It doesn't work like that. If you stay in any of the lodging accommodations that are included in state statute, which is where it's outlined, like if you stayed in a campground, you would pay that. If you stayed in a short-term rental, again, like something happens in your property, you're remodeling and you don't want to stay at home, and you stay in an Airbnb, you go to a campground, you go to a hotel, any of those statutorily noted properties, that's when you would pay it, but that's a pretty rare occasion.
Mr. Chairman, by campground, we're talking about like the KOA campgrounds where people pull in their RVs.
Could be.
Not, I don't think it applies to the mountain.
Yes, it does. It applies to all campgrounds.
Thanks.
Okay.
Michelle,
Thank you.
for your. Okay. Sir?
So can you remind me how much money is it Casper helped out with to help out the Hell's Half Acre?
So this year, yes, we provided, let's see here, $105,000 of destination development funds, which we received from Wyoming Office of Tourism. That was a grant that we applied to that project. We also had, we wrote a $100,000 grant, which was a reimbursable grant through the State Parks Department. We also wrote another grant for $90,000 through Natrona County Parks and Rec. So it was right around $300,000 for that project alone.
So that money is coming right back into the community then?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Mhm.
What about like events like CNFR and others?
Yep.
The lodging tax helps provide for those.
Absolutely. Yep. CNFR, the fair and rodeo, it could be like a baseball tournament that, you know, does serve locals, but it also brings in teams from maybe it's throughout the state. It might even have folks from throughout the country, but it definitely flows right back into the community. And that's why I wanted to share that figure about the over $800,000 last year. I was shocked. And a part of that is not lodging tax. I would say last year that Hell's Half Acre, you know, 300,000 really pumped that up, but still $500,000 returned only in sponsorships and grants. I didn't include in there how much money we spend with our local businesses. So we spend a tremendous amount of money. I'm pretty sure it's well over $1 million with local vendors as well. So we really try hard to make sure that as we receive that funding, of course, we're following the letter of the law, we're following our organizational mission, but we also are really trying to put money back into Natrona County everywhere we can.
I just wanted to say thank you for, I mean, there's no way in the world the county could have gotten Hell's Half Acre up and running and in the condition that it is without the assistance from Visit Casper. And I wanted to express that. I've talked to a lot of people from all over the state, different places that come through there now and stop. And they've all got nothing but good things to say about it. So even though it's a long way from town, it's getting used, and it's getting used quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm thrilled that we were able to partner on that project. And anecdotally, I was at Alcova Resort on Sunday taking a travel writer out, and we actually did a shared tour where we were out there with some other folks that were just vacationing, and it was a couple from Chicago. And I asked them, like, why did you come here? why are you here instead of somewhere else? And they were here for the fishing. They're diehard fisher people. And they said they've gone to all the regular places, and they started coming to Casper and Natrona County years ago. And I asked them, well, what else have you been doing? And their last visit was to Hell's Half Acre. So we were pretty happy about that. So, you know, small wins where you can take them.
Comment.
Go ahead.
In regards to Hell's Half Acre, I had a client who owned that back in the 70s, had a restaurant there and everything. I forget what he did with it after he left Wyoming. But secondarily about this tax, this is one of the taxes that the proposal I would vote yes for, and the primary reason is it goes out to the public and they get to vote on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's actually what should happen with all of our taxes. The public should vote on them.
Well, and it's a really,
Make that clear, so
Yeah.
if they put it on Oil City, that it's clear that it has to be a situation voted on by the public.
yeah.
So if you know anybody on Oil City, make sure they say.
You know, I'll be sure to pass that along. Always. You know, it's one of those things. I was just at a convention with DMOs, destination organizations just like ours from all over the world. And I was talking with other folks, and they were just flabbergasted that our funding went to the residents on a ballot. They just couldn't believe it. And they're like, how do you feel about that? And I'm like, it makes us do our best work. You know, we know that we are here to serve our friends and neighbors in the county. And yes, we want to deliver a great visitor experience, but we only want to do that when it makes sense for the people who live and work here first. So that mechanism works for us, and it keeps us doing our best work.
Any other comments? Questions? So you just really don't need that tax, do you? County just doesn't need that bump or anything, do they? Sarcastic.
Yes, I know you are. Don't make me say it. Yes, we definitely need that.
Okay.
We really do.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would go so far, maybe a little farther than Commissioner Laird just did, and say that all the voters need to actually vote for this due to its important and its importance, and it's not coming out of hardly any local individuals' pockets. So anyway, this seems like a no-brainer for the voters, and I know it is for me to put it on the ballot.
Great.
And Ned, I'm going to give you a little pat on the back because since you've been here, Visit Casper, the amount of things that Visit Casper has done that I've seen visibly has increased. And I just want to say that I really appreciate that. I appreciate you going out and looking for projects and not having to wait until projects come to you. That's a big, that's one of the biggest things that makes these groups work, is when you go out and you actually look for things to help the community instead of having the community come and request it. So I just wanted to say thanks for that. And for Oil City News, I'm going to give you a little kudos because I reached out to Greg Hurst, and the article that was put in Facebook about the Platte River Rod and Gun Club fun shoot for kids this last weekend. We had more kids out there than we've ever had before, and it's a great event. And I asked people how they found out about it, and a lot of them were from the Facebook post. So I just want to say thanks for that.
Any other comments? So, to reiterate what Dave says, you've been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic being here, and really do appreciate you having come to Natrona County and do what you're doing for us. It's really good to see. And then also to reiterate Dallas and Peter's point, the county needs this. It doesn't affect the locals that much, if at all. The benefits are far outweigh any con. And I hope they vote for it. The voters vote for it. I highly endorse this. The projects that and the benefits that this county gets from this tax is immense and put to a very good use. So, yeah, there we have it.
We better run out of here right now.
I would.
We really appreciate each of you. We know this is a partnership, and we're here to work with you guys and for you. So we really do appreciate it. So thank you for your time.
Renee, do you want to say anything?
I'd love to get Renee up here.
I love her too.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen
Thank you.
and ladies.
Michelle, when do you think we'll see that come across? When do you think the resolution will be ready and to come across?
I'm gonna go with the first meeting,
Okay.
because that's kind of the
Can I have,
normally done, and that's what I have prepared it for.
Okay. that works. Whatever you say, boss.
I'll let, I'll let Tracy know that as soon as, this meeting's over, I'll at least have the commissioners more in favor of the proposition and allowing the citizens of Natrona. That will be enough for me to finalize that resolution,
Awesome.
and then I'll let elections know.
Okay. Yep. Alrighty. I guess it's down to you.
So for the month of July, we had 50 Title 25 cases that we did. So went down a little bit, which is good, but it fluctuates. We are still working on the road vacation. I'm hoping that we'll get you guys that second resolution, next BOCC meeting. We're just finishing up, the notices, or drafting those. We have only one ISD dissolution now. One of them got resolved, which is great. So that we're working on getting those notices out to try to see if we can get that resolved before it has to come to you guys. We're also, as Mike had mentioned, we are working on the next 3 roads for the establishments that we need to do. We're looking at Ponderosa Road, Gas Hills Road, and Gary Dome Road. So those are our next 3 on the list. Paul Svensson at WLC is working on the engineering stuff that he has to do for that, or surveying stuff rather. And as soon as he gets me one of them, then we'll start on that process while he finishes those other 2. So we're still working on those. Still waiting on a couple easements from the East End Road stuff, but some of them are still on. We have a couple more on the agenda tonight for you guys. We've gotten some of them more back, but we are still waiting on a couple. Also working on our project with our Rocky Mountain Power stuff. We've been having some meetings with them, trying to work on a project with them. Also assisting the district court clerk. She's been having some issues concerning data entry stuff in the state. So I've been working with her and meeting with her a lot these last couple weeks, trying to help her and assist her in those questions that she's been having. Additionally, I'm also working on some legal research for the Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees. They had some questions at their last meeting that I am researching and should be getting a memo to them here shortly.
The district court questions, I have a feeling I know what you're talking about. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel for that problem? Or
I think we had a good meeting today. Jill, Eileen, and we sat down. We had a long discussion of the policies that the Supreme Court is looking at doing. We have some more feedback. I know Jill's going to have a meeting with them later this afternoon. So I don't know how that went, but they are doing a lot of comments on those policies. There's potentially an MOU coming down the line, and that's where I think we're really going to take a hard look at what it is that they're wanting Jill to kind of agree to. In addition, we're trying to see if we can get something in return to help Jill with some of the public records stuff.
yeah,
Because that seems to be the biggest issue. But
go ahead.
So the hospital has a duty, I think contractually, to take care of certain kinds of indigent people that need care. Are you familiar with any of that?
a little bit, yeah.
So I had a report that a gentleman went in to the hospital, was indigent, and they shuffled him out, and he got home and died the next day. And so the people were asking me why didn't the hospital take care of this indigent person? So I don't know exactly how that contract is phrased with respect to, I know if the person is in jail,
Mhm.
but I forget exactly how the indigent people are described in the contract, where perhaps this guy should have fit under that designation. So, like an interpretation, if you can come up with one on exactly what the hospital has to do with people who can't afford to go there.
I will look back into the contract, because I'll pull those specific provisions for you and answer that question as soon as I
Thank you.
can.
And I don't remember if the contract adopts the statutory definition, but I would think that that's defined by state statute.
Maybe
I think
What
so.
indigent is and is not, so I don't, anyway. Thank you.
And the one thing too, if I might add, there's a difference between somebody who comes into the emergency room as opposed to checks into the hospital. The emergency room is under certain federal statutes that they were required to follow, and I'm not sure of the exact facts of this case, but I've been told about it, and I was just trying to figure out if they're doing what they should be doing under our contract.
And I'll look into the contract. I'll also look at the state statute real quick or two, and get you, or try to get you some answers if I can.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Did you hear from the city or, that DocuSign that they tried to get me to sign? Have you figured that one out yet or anything?
So I did email the city and they're over there, Eric's legal assistant, I believe what she is. She said that she would make sure that they all know that it needs to come to me first. But I haven't seen anything come through.
Okay, I was just wondering because it kind of seemed like that happened and then.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, but I did because I had forwarded it to her and told her, hey,
So if
this
there's a
went directly
timeline,
to
I
them.
expect them to get back to us relatively soon.
What was the subject matter of that?
Oh, it was the
Was it animal control?
control increases and stuff. They're just trying to do an annual increase. Didn't need to be a.
Does anybody know when they're gonna start spending their money to build a new metro?
Design work was in process.
Any other questions? Do we need to move into exec real quick? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Somebody make a motion.
Make a motion that we move into executive session for legal advice.
So moved. Second. Those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Exec. It's freaking cold in here.
Turn the heat off.
I told him Dallas loves the cold. Get it as chilly as possible.
I'm still full.
We'll be back after a bit.
Yours? Okay.
Ready to go with all this?
In some ways, yeah, but you tell everybody that asks, it's been one of the best jobs I've ever had. So, yeah,
Aside from a couple things. I'm
Well-
sure you wouldn't mind.
yeah, I mean, there's always something more. Anyway, it's been good. Some progress in some areas. It's a little frustrating that we haven't made more progress in some areas, but it's a process, right?
At least I think we've got some good choices this time.
But that,
I said, at least I think we have a few good choices this time.
yeah, and I think that whatever happens, I think that quality candidates should come again, and maybe I will, maybe Shell.
All right, we're back from exec. Discuss some different legal issues and some potential land issues. No decisions were made. So there we have it. What?
Are we in recess?
I don't know. Should we be in recess?
I see.
Does Dallas have time for a burrito? I don't think so.
No, but I'll have time.
Okay. And we're in recess. So there you go.
All right.
Alrighty. We're back in session. So approval of consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we add to the consent agenda the contract for the CNFR hosting and sponsorship agreement.
So the motion would be to
Second.
sub I, the contract for CNFR contract agreement.
Second.
And we have a second. Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. We have added that to the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the amended consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Moved and passed. Any contracts, agreements, and resolutions we need to work on, Michelle? And moving on. Public hearings, public comments. I see no public except for one public. That public isn't paying attention, so. All right, commissioner comments. Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We just remind everybody to vote. This is an important election, as they all are, but the primary in Wyoming is probably more important in many respects than the general. So everybody get out there and vote. You can go early vote, but the primary is the 18th, 2 weeks from today. Thanks.
Dave.
I just want to reiterate that, do your civic duty, but be informed when you do your civic duty, please. Don't just go out there and pick somebody just because they're on the ballot. Please do your research and before you do vote, and vote for the people that support what your beliefs are.
Laird.
I would like to see a county manager become employed by this county. And I hope whoever's in these chairs next year consider that, because I'm glad these ladies came today and brought up the issues of these grants that can be obtained. It does take quite a bit of expertise to get the paperwork done properly and get it submitted properly. But I think it behooves the commissioners to put something in force, at least, to get grant writers involved with this commission. Maybe it's too late this year, but I don't think it'll be too late next year. And do hope everybody gets out and votes in the primary. It's a very important election, at least for Wyoming. And vote for your favorite person when you think will do you the best job. And I'd like to say that Jim Milne and Peter Nicolason are going off this board, and they've worked very hard, and they've been good commissioners. we've had some really fine arguments, but we've managed to keep the commission going quite well and take care of the taxpayers' money. So I appreciate serving with both of you gentlemen.
Casey?
Just a couple of things. So I know I'm reading the article about the library and its changes to its funding model and some of the services it's had to modify. I think it's important to note that, the library's management is conducted through a director and a board, and the decisions that they make to affect their operations are their own. It's not this commission's. This commission is charged with balancing a county budget and presenting something that's responsible for taxpayer funds. So this commission did that to the best of its ability this year. And in my view, as the library liaison, core library services have not been diminished. Secondarily, and completely off topic to that, a topic that's been kind of widespread lately is the rise of flock cameras and other kind of surveillance. I plan on it in the near future to bring some form of a draft resolution to discuss flock cameras within county rights of way and county roads, because I think that while there may be some public safety trade-off that I'm unaware of how we've survived for the last, many decades without these things on the roadways. But I think that this county needs to take the privacy of its citizens and their right to, I guess, travel throughout the county seriously. And so I'll be bringing that forward for the rest of the commission to kind of look at and us to mold and come up with something good for the people. So thank you.
So I don't have much, just reiterating pretty much Commissioner North and Nick Lason's comments. Very important to vote. This budget session reflects that. Some of the challenges that departments and offices are having to go through due to budgetary cost cuts. It's directly related to some of the behaviors of our legislature. So it's very important to understand and know who you're voting for, know what they are representing, and if you can live with that in the future. And with that,